we were just talking about how delighted we are to be here with you all again today.
Yes. Yes. Thank you all so much for joining. I'm super excited. Today I remembered to put in a topic onto Twitch. So we are good to go.
So Fab, today, so far we've been going ahead and talking about we started with the concepts behind open source. So, hey, what is open source? What are the kinds of arguments you're likely to see or want to avoid? And then like, hey, how do we search for a project that might be a good fit for us? And oh, what about issues? How can we search for the kinds of things we might want to fix? And what does that mean? And today we're going to try and fix something, right?
Indeed. We're going to try and make our first contribution to FreeCodeCamp over here. So a couple of things we're going to try and aim to do. We're going to try and, begin writing code to address this issue. And by the end of today, we're hoping to be able to carry on that little bit of searching of issues on GitHub by using these labels. Sorry, I don't know if you wanted to alternate on those, Jess.
Well, let's just dive in.
Yeah.
I was hanging out in chat and bothering people. Uh, so we talked a little bit last time about issues and oh, hey, these are kind of like the tags and the labels are going to be what we really primarily use to bop around.
Totally.
And FreeCodeCamp is an exceptional open source project, not just because the core of what they do is so important, but also because they're really fantastic at open source sort of community management. They've got a ton of labels, they're really up to date, and they do an incredible amount of triage. So coming down here and just looking at what we can see a bit, I think that we probably want to look for something that's not terrifying.
Totally.
So yeah, when I say terrifying, I think if we're going to look at starting and maybe even completing um, an improvement for this project, we want something that's not too complicated. I see. Oh gosh, if you scroll all down and down, and I should get my own mouse for this. We see one that says TypeScript migration. Oh, wait, way back up. I'm being rubbish.
Oh, my bad.
Uh, and this is just my own personal experience, but I don't think we want to do anything that has anything to do with TypeScript migration or any kind of migration within an hour. That feels like a multiple people sitting down and having a discussion kind of thing.
Definitely.
No
Definitely.
migrations.
No migrations. Nothing that just something short and concise that we can, pop out a contribution to for and hopefully make the experience with, for example, Free Code Camp a little bit easier.
What about looking at some of these, thinking about like, oh, hey, what's going to be smaller? What about the ones that are bugs?
Yeah, let's what we
Are
can
those going to be
do.
less terrifying?
Yeah, what we can do is take that, for example, a label like just mentioned, bugs, and um and look at what we
Give her
have
a click.
here.
Oh
And
gosh, these still look nice and complicated, don't they?
they look they look pretty big. But we can
Yeah.
so what we can do is have a look, as we discussed last week. um uh as we discussed last week, we can take a look at these different labels and see if we can find something that works for us. Also, keeping in mind, for example, seeing here that pull requests have already been opened for them, as well as a number of comments. Um, One, we took an opportunity to look around.
We
Uh,
cheated.
we cheated just a touch. Um, Somebody in the chat mentions whether there's a first label, which
Oh,
totally worth looking at because
you
you
know,
can
that's such a good idea. So we
absolutely.
did talk about this last, and this wasn't like we covered this last class, but we talked about this last week because that's one of the first things we recommend doing.
Yeah.
And you're brilliant and wonderful, and no doubt. beautiful and as calm as you are helpful. But yeah, they've got a great first timers only label. And the
Totally.
best thing about contributing to Free Code Camp is also the worst thing. Actually, yeah, it's not that bad. So this could be the worst thing about contributing to Free Code Camp is you might be you're probably not shocked that a project that teaches people to program and has good open source community management, they've got a lot of newbies coming in, right?
Absolutely. So we can see here, for example, we've got one first timers only bug that's open at the moment, and it's already got 30 responses
And a pull request out.
and a pull request out. Yeah.
So we
So
could go ahead and like make our own, but I believe that is a technical concept known as a jerk move. To be like, we reject your perfectly cromulent fix here, and instead we insist on. No, that's not going to happen. Like we want to be jerks in our free time, not jerks in our computer time. I mean, ideally jerks never, but definitely not jerks in this project.
totally. Yeah. So this one looks like it's already been it's already been being taken care of. The what we saw last week was that in FreeCodeCamp, excuse me, in FreeCodeCamp, the kind of the regular procedure seems to be first come first served in terms of pull requests. So the first pull request that covers it will be merged. That's ready to go. So we can go ahead and skip the first timer label for now. However, we did find one issue when we were doing just a touch of research, a little bit of cheating, that kind of stood out to us that I really liked.
Where was that? There was one that was really good.
Yeah, and I've got it right
That's a
here.
very helpful descriptor, isn't it? But like, oh, remember when you showed me that thing? It was in a tab. It was quite good.
Yeah.
That one?
It was this one here. And what we've got here
And all
is
of y'all are getting insight into what it's like to work with me, where I'm like, oh yeah, those things. It's good, right?
um yeah. So what we've got here is somebody who found an issue. JavaScript QA projects print undefined when FCC is a free code camp test is run. Um The project print undefined to the console when FCC fetches the results of local tests from routes defined in file fcctesting.js. There's no practical consequence, but it would be more appropriate to either not print out anything or to print out what is happening. I created a sample patch to address the first solution. So what we really liked about this was that this person not only reported the issue, but also provided what was essentially a first step towards fixing it.
And
So
and that might feel like cheating as well, because we're cheating, where we're like, oh, we're gonna do this live on stream, by which we mean we're gonna talk about this first. But this is again like, oh, hey, I'd quite like to do a pull request, or this thing's really been annoying me. Please have an issue and also the fix if you don't mind.
exactly.
Um, are all of you okay with me cheating or us cheating? Like we feel okay with that? What are our personal opinions on fairness? Do we need to go for one of these big, complicated, interconnected pull requests and then work on it for the next 6 months? Or actually, we found some typos. Can we just go do the typos? Well, yes, you can definitely go do the typos.
I think
Oh,
I think I
fabulous.
see that in the chat. Yeah, might be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably admin only, so other people can't see it. But there's just a clamor for, oh, y'all should raise an issue and just fix these typos.
Yeah. So about those about those wording issues that we were looking at that we're talking about. So what happened was that when I was installing FreeCodeCamp on my machine, I was reading the instructions out loud, and I found a couple of wording hiccups that I think would be a valuable contribution for a number of reasons. And I just want to touch on this for just a moment because a lot of what this is more on a personal level. A lot of what makes me anxious about open source contributions is to think like, oh gosh, is this worthwhile? Am I just opening issues and sort of opening pull requests and wasting the maintainer's time with what is essentially just opening saying like, hey, I think these wording this wording could be better, and then kind of thinking like, they probably get swamped with those, and how to think about this. But it hit me just the other when we were doing this stream and I was reading these out loud and I felt myself verbally tripping over these minor. I said they're not huge problems. They're just minor wording hiccups that I think even for something, say, for somebody using a screen reader, could be kind of
Oh,
flow breaking.
for me, because I used to be a linguist and a language teacher, I was like, okay, they're not hugely meaningful. Wait, are we talking about the typos without show? Like, I'm just so bossy. Come on, let's get him up while we chat about him.
Yeah, sounds good.
Um, and I was thinking, oh, these could be a little bit weird if maybe my first language wasn't English, or maybe I wasn't as confident with it. And also, I am a terrible pendant. So, hey, let's go ahead and see if we can't politely suggest these type of fixes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, we can suggest them. I mean, that's the great thing about open source is that we can, we we can put these up as suggestions, and if they like them, they'll take them in, and if not, they won't, and everybody, the day will continue, and everything will be fine. Um, so let's, yeah, as Jess recommended, let's get those up. So what you see here on screen right now is my editor that I set up a few weeks ago. It's got my copy my copy of FreeCodeCamp checked out on my machine on WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, and we're gonna be looking at that guide and making these minor wording improvements as we go. Just a couple of things that we've got here. One at the bottom here is my terminal. So here I can type my command like git status, very common one to check what my status of git is. So we'll be doing a little bit of git today as well towards making our contribution. If I type in git remote v, I'll be with the v dash v flag, we'll be able to see that we are currently on my fork that I made
Yeah.
last week, that we made last week for FreeCodeCamp.
And what did we think a fork was like? I think we made some kind of metaphor that I lost track of it. It's like making a clone and then improving the clone and then merging them back into. That's horrible. That's horrible. I was
How
that,
about
that
something like a
strongly implies murder. um like, oh yeah, you get a clone and you teach it to juggle and then the other clone goes away and
yeah, maybe something like a carbon copy?
like a non-alive clone. It's a photocopy you can edit and amend. That is so much better than my sci-fi murder plot.
I love it. Got the point across. um okay. Um we will, yeah, so we've got our terminal, we've got our editor here. Now, the changes we're going to be making are to a markdown file. And what's one thing that's cool that you can do with Virtual Studio Code is preview your markdown as you type it. Um,
Oh, I definitely knew that.
I don't do a lot of Virtual Studio Code, so I'm learning as I go here. But one thing we can bring up is the command palette. It also suggests a keyboard shortcut here. By the way, I hope the size is okay. If anybody needs it to be bigger, please let me know. Same goes, yeah. Our command palette, we can bring it up here, and we can type in Markdown. And there's a couple of suggestions here of things we can do, like open preview to the side. So if we click on that, we'll now have side by side both our editor and the Markdown preview. So, in order to do as, let's say, efficient a job of this as possible, as I was, working through installing FreeCodeCamp on my computer, I said I found these minor wording issues, that I will, these wording improvements that I would love to recommend.
So let me see. I'm going to peer at it teacherly and be like, oh, where was that?
Here's the first one I found. This guide covers some common steps with the setup of WSL2. Once the once some of the common issues with WSL2 are addressed, you should be able to follow the our local setup guide to work with,
Okay.
and that's one. So follow the hour.
I
So
mean, we could
yeah, I was thinking we could either
which
remove one or the other.
which one do you want to murder? This, like, again, I'd like to step away from the murder. Which one should go to live in a farm upstate?
Oh no. Um, I, you know, that's a good question.
What if what if we got rid of them both and instead say this?
You should be able to follow the. Yeah, this. Hmm. Hold on.
Ooh.
This guide. So that's this guide, and I think the local setup guide is the other
Is
one.
oh, is that okay?
Sort of the main setup guide. This is like a side document for. Actually, let me bring it up on the browser here, and I'll show you what I mean, so that we're not totally lost.
And this is what everybody wants from an open source stream is folks arguing about that, well, is this the or is this this?
I mean,
Is this is the lowest context sentence I've said this week.
so this is the local setup document for FreeCodeCamp, and we also support Windows 10 via WSL2, which you can prepare by reading this guide. So,
Okay, so they do that with the this. Okay.
so what we actually need is a link, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a good opinion. So let's go ahead and reference that in our issue.
Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Good idea. This is gonna be a bit all over, all over the place. Um.
Oh,
Oh. Oh,
oh
look at
gosh.
this.
Wait. I distinctly remember on the guide itself, there was, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll say, so you tap back over to the other one. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom there, I bet money it says edit this guide on GitHub. Yeah,
You were right.
that's good because I don't have any money.
So actually, we don't even need to do this on our with on a fork on a clone on my machine. I'm just gonna do it because it's already there. I hope that's fine.
Well, we can also take a look at how other people have done this before if we look at history. So are people forking it and raising issues, or are people just like, wahahaha, committing it directly to the main branch, which is, of course, sometimes done, but not always what you'd like to do.
Ah, history. So it would appear. It would appear. Hmm. Do you know? Do you know how we can verify that?
Oh, I'm being told that if we don't, and if we edit it on GitHub, it'll just create a fork and a branch for us. As a deeply
Wow.
efficient, is that the polite? That's the business word for lazy, isn't it? As a deeply efficient person, you want to just edit it in the GUI, which is the graphical user interface, which is
Oh, this
a very
is.
fancy way to say the pretty website or the pretty display a program gives you instead of doing it in your terminal.
Well, thank you very much. Um.
Oh, I'm not a user with commit access to the repository. I can't be trusted. Felix is pointing out, like, oh, hey, and this is so helpful. This has saved us quite a bit of messing about. If we edit it on GitHub, it'll create a fork and branch for us, so it'll make us that clone. Um,
Oh, we can offer.
but
Yeah.
if we're a user with commit access, if we're like an admin, I mean, not an admin because that's it, but if we've got a lot of powers granted to us here, then it'll just automatically and commit it to the main branch, which we don't want. Luckily, both of us are absolute goofballs And no one from FreeCodeCamp has been foolish enough to grant us commit access to the repo. Any repos, really.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for the recommendation. Oh, right. You're making changes. You don't have. All right. So making a change will write it to a new branch on your fork so you can send a pull request. Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, from next week, we're just going to have Felis replace me. It's going to be great.
Thank
I'm
you
just
very
like, oh,
much.
how do we do this? So we've got, here is an adult in the chat who's just like, no, here's how you do it.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Shall
Um,
we? Shall we just go ahead and open the? Oh gosh, you're two steps ahead of me. I was daydreaming.
oh no. Okay.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
change the thing.
yeah. Great. So what we can do is here have our preview. So you should be able to follow the our local setup guide. So we can already get to right to work. Um, so we wanted this, and we wanted it to be a link. Oopsie.
To the guide.
Exactly. Local.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
And maybe if folks haven't used Markdown before, Markdown, it's
thank you.
like a um, it's like what's a lot like HTML. It's a sort of language. I'm gonna go ahead and say language. It's a formatting language that lets you specify layout. So computers are pretty smart. Um, but computers only know as much as you want them to know. So if you
Exactly.
just give it a bunch of text, it's just going to display it as flat text. So here you're like, hey, Markdown is going to be the sort of way we style this text, the way we let you know what we want beyond just flat text. And we're going to use preset sort of Markdown syntax, Markdown structures to say, okay, this is a link. And I've been talking through that because I always forget. I know that Markdown links are square brackets and smooth brackets, which are also very technical terms. But I never remember which side it goes on, so I was genuinely just stalling until you did it.
Ah, thank you. One thing I need to find now. So I've written the text that's gonna go in the link, and now I need the URL, the address.
So
So
we've told Markdown, hey, underline this because that's important. But like, this is going to be a link. Send this person somewhere else.
exactly,
We just need to say, hey, throw them here.
exactly. So once even so, there's the local setup guide. So what we can do is go to the bottom. So this is still the same document. What I can do is scroll to the bottom and see how that URL looks. It's a bit of
Oh,
cheating.
I would have like right clicked and copied because I'm efficient.
Ah, yeah, no, you're
Again, just lazy. That's not me smack talking you.
no, that's totally fair. I thought there might be some local URLs going on or something. Um, yeah. So this local setup guide, perfect. So that's already one of the minor wording improvements we've made. I've got three more that we could cover together. Um, so the next one I found was in the
Oh,
install git version.
you love how as a monster, I'm just like, yes, yes. What else can we like? And it's unusual to find these because these guys are like I am such a fuss over bad documentation, and these are great.
No, this is amazing documentation. I think the only reason, I think partially the reason that I've been able to read, like that I was reading them out loud, and by extension able to find these suggestions that we could make to improve them, is because they're so well written in the first place.
Yeah, where like if it's bad, it's all just a sea of bad.
Yeah. So here's the next one I found. Git comes pre-installed with Ubuntu 18.04. Verify that your Git version with Git version. So the wording there is kind of is could be improved a little bit to be to because it's something's tripping me up here. Verify that your Git version with Git version. I think it would be good to have it be verify that your Git
Oh,
version is up to date, or verify that your Git version is current, or maybe just verify your Git version.
oh. I love how like yeah, wholly superfluous I've been on this. Like
Not at
we're
all.
just no. Like we're just gonna pipe Felis and Platypus in. It'll be the Felis and Platypus show. It'll be pretty chill.
Verify
I can
your.
take a nap.
uh,
Verify your Git version with Git dashy dashy version. Um, yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Thank you.
we bow to greater wisdom.
You are very, very
We were
kind.
like,
And
oh, should we add more language? And really, we've got folks here in the chat who know that art is deleting.
absolutely. Everybody says, like the best kinds of pull requests are those that delete a bunch of stuff. um, cool. So that's another one I found. We got two more. Um,
Every time you go to a website, do you just have like a little red pen for your monitor? Just like, oh, yeah, no, absolutely not. This will not stand.
I promise this never happens. This just it was the reading out loud, which again really drives home like I've been seeing folks talk on Twitter how important it is as a web developer to use a screen reader or screen reader functionality as you're developing a website, just to see how usable it is, because only when I was reading out the website out loud did I realize that there were these minor wording issues. Again,
And
um,
now I'm trying to race you because you're like, oh, there's another one. And I'm like, oh, can I get it without reading out loud? Um, Not without my red pen, I fear.
so the next one I found, it's pretty minor in my opinion. Docker Desktop for Windows allows you to install and run database and
Ah, I got
services.
it.
Yeah.
It
Uh,
did take you reading it out loud though. Uh, um, okay.
so this is
So
an yeah. Sorry.
yeah. We know from last week that there's only one database involved with FreeCodeCamp, or only one type of database. So their MongoDB is their not database. I'm sure database in use, not database of choice. Huh.
Indeed.
Um, so do we want to say? So it says your databases and services.
Yeah.
Run database and service. Hmm.
I, my initial gut feeling was to go with either make them um, run a database or run uh, databases. Again, super minor.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? They're talking about Docker Desktop for Windows as a larger concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to say databases because it is possible to run we're not going to be doing it for FreeCodeCamp, but you can run a whole bunch of different databases. Also, it's the least fussy change. I'm all about the least fussy change.
Same here.
Um, Docker Desktop for Windows allows you to install and run databases and services like Mongo. Yeah,
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 I think so.
and run services. Ooh. Oh, we've got a ooh.
Oh, I like
Install
that.
and run database. I think lovingly, and I'm willing to fight this out. And run service.
So we've got a suggestion in the chat.
Yeah.
So
Lovingly, I hate to sort of push against it. The suggestion in the chat is to change the language to and run services like databases, comma, Mike. I think because a lot of the folks who are going to be reading this are going to be, yep, I totally get the databases or services. You are technically correct, which is the most valuable kind of correct. But my concern here is that most of the folks who are going to be reading this, or most of the folks who are going to be reading this closely, are going to be new learners. So they're just getting into open source. They're just getting stuck in. And maybe the idea that a database as a service isn't something that's really sunk in yet. I kind of, yeah, so they will know what a database is. They've seen database reference somewhere else. They've probably done a bunch of the FreeCodeCamp, enough of the FreeCodeCamp curriculum to have hit one of those. Um, if if y'all don't mind, I might have a potentially completely irrational preference for databases being included before services, even though they're technically correct.
So I agree. Yeah, I
Oh no,
see.
you could disagree. Like you,
No, I
yeah.
wanted to offer because I wanted to offer. This is really fun, by the way. Like,
You love
like
how I
talking
was just
about.
like, I give you permission to disagree. Like it's technically correct to disagree.
um, because I was actually thinking of something like and run database and other services,
Oh,
which kind of goes against the whole concept of deleting stuff.
we've we've got multiple ones of us saying "oh" at the same time, which is all good. We'd have to restructure that whole sentence.
Yeah,
Um,
allows you to install and run. Yeah, because there's already a lot of.
like databases like MongoDB. Um, oh, it's just small enough so I can't see the next. Is
Oh,
it
here.
Noix?
Sorry about that. Here we go. Allows you to install and run
Oh,
databases. So my suggestion would have been databases and other
but
services.
yeah. So I think we should say databases like MongoDB and other services like.
So databases like MongoDB and other services. Oh, hold on.
Like Nginx and more,
Mm-hmm.
or and others. I'm putting me on a stream where we like, oh, let's look at typos. Like, what a terrible thing to do to these lovely people watching. I was like, oh yes, well, if we look at audience intent and like what is the I was absolutely terrible as a teacher. You might not be surprised to learn.
Oh,
Um, I did have purple pens and pink pens to go with my red ones for the things that are like, if you're like, oh, okay, this is technically correct, but we probably wanted this other thing, or this is not quite correct, but oh, this is a very good point.
so we're happy with this. Allow you to install and run databases like MongoDB and other services like Nginx and more.
We feel I
Could
yeah
also.
yeah. So oh, we should probably be taking notes for the pull request as well.
So I believe I could be wrong. When we make that pull request, it'll show us a diff, like a what changed,
And yeah,
and then we
and
can.
we can go through that and be like, oh, we changed this for this reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that you, oh, it's because you're much younger than me. I was like, oh, I love that you think we're going to remember our thinking after 30 minutes. But young people, y'all have good memories.
um, cool. So that's one, and then we've got our last one. Oh, this one's also super minor. So
Is it?
here it is. Um,
Wait. Highlight it, but don't say it. We'll race you.
okay.
Like highlight the whole sentence of the whole.
Oh,
Is it in configure Docker desktop for WSL? Oh,
yeah.
if anyone in chat wants to yell before I yell it. Sorry, that was very, very satisfying because you've been like, look at these typos I found. And I was like, I'm not even sure this is a typo. This is again very specific.
yeah, yeah. It's very.
But right? Like,
It's a
does
little.
your heart just want something there?
My heart is, yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. My heart wants either this makes it so that the containers run on the WSL side
Yeah.
or WSL side. And I
I
I'm not
mean, and absolutely not. Oh, good. Someone else said it first. It's just like
perfect.
I don't have grammatically like I don't have and I can't cite why. we've got multiple.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh,
So
do we not
apparently,
like an apostrophe S with an acronym? Felix is pointing out, like, oh, we want to say the WSL side because WSL is and platypus is also like the. So brilliant, brilliant. I will definitely be handing stickers out to the class in a moment. Um, oh no, I'm gonna have to spend some time thinking about possessive language rules.
there's
Yeah.
our rabbit hole for the day. um,
Um, what's it like to be completely right?
oh, at first I thought you were gonna be like
It
complete.
is grammatically possible, but not desirable.
Love it. So there we go.
Yeah.
So right. So on the WSL side is the correct way. Um, I'm this is a ton of learning. Thank you all. So those are the four as wording improvements that I would like us to propose today.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do, and this is not me calling you petty. I mean, this is me calling you petty a little bit, but, but I do want to reinforce the idea that these are really, really little things. So these are just tiny language improvements for the user. Um, but the documentation here is absolutely beautiful. I want to make sure that it doesn't sound like we're being mean and having a go at
absolutely,
the folks who wrote this and the folks that are maintaining this.
absolutely. If anything, it's I'll say it again. The fact that I've been able to look at that we've been able to look at it so thoroughly and look for those improvements that could be made, I think is a testament to the fact that it's very well written.
Yeah, we had to get very petty to make this happen.
Totally. I think it's yeah, I think it's like motivation. Yeah. So those are the four improvements that I think could be made. So what comes now is
We must
proposing the changes.
justify. Oh no, it's not giving us our diff until we propose changes.
What we might be able to do is to
We can go back and look at the original and be like, oh yeah, we didn't like that.
yeah, yeah, and edit the pull request as we go. So we've got to
Cool.
give our pull request a sorry.
We get to think of a name up for it.
Yes, this is what's going to show up on the list of pull requests. Um, my first instinct, if I may, would be to just call it minor wording improvements.
I wanted minor right up there as well to be like,
Okay,
oh,
great.
we love you. Yeah.
And now we're going to add a description that justifies. Gotta commit first. This is the commit rather than the
Yeah.
pull request.
So
Ah,
we'll see
thank
the
you.
diff after we put the proposed changes.
Okay, so this is yeah, as Chad very kindly let us know, this is going to create the commit that will then turn into the pull request.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. So what do we write as our description if this is a commit? This
Added a link. And so do we want to go for the relatively detailed added a link to the something something guide?
to the yeah to the local setup guide
There's something something. Yeah, yeah.
probably is a list. Oh no, this is a commit, so it needs to sort of be a paragraph of sorts.
Yeah.
Um,
And then we reordered um, reordered some wording to make it clearer. We ordered some wording to make it clearer that there were we ordered some wording to make it clearer that yeah, lists are great. Clear that Docker can be used with multiple types of databases.
if I knew how to type that, there we go.
There's a reason I make. Ooh, that makes me sound like the boss of you. There's a reason I graciously beseech you to drive. It keeps the cussing down because I just like rah, rah, rah. Oh, we did another thing. We
Uh,
minor wording change, added the for grammatical.
no. For grammatical correctness.
Correct me? That sounds very like
It sounds
I
like
wouldn't be friends with me if you wrote that down.
that sounds like grade
I
10
mean,
English. Um,
um, added the for flow. How about that?
beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. I don't know why there's a question mark there. My bad.
I, I
I think that's
had
it.
a question mark in my heart. Is it we made? Did we make four
Oh,
changes?
you're right. We made 4 changes. Uh,
See, that's why I was like, oh, we should take notes because
no.
welcome to having an old person brain.
We had the link. We had the Git version. Verify
Oh
your.
yeah. So yeah, tightened language around Git version verification. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Language.
Q
Uh,
points out that you are writing an absolutely fantastic commit message,
that's
which is kind of longer than our changes, which is really, yeah. Well,
that's
no, I
right.
was going to say that's often the best you could do to be like, deleted some stuff, bye, is a common, yeah, it's a common commit message, but it's not on the side of the angels.
It's that's very kind. It's a team effort. So there we go. There's our.
When he says team effort, he means him and all of y'all in the chat being helpful.
Oh no, I mean all of us. So now I'm gonna click on propose changes, and this will turn into a branch on Git that will in turn, yeah. So now we're getting into the stage where we're gonna make a um, the worst
Someone
messages.
is suggesting that the worst message is WIP, so work in progress hyphen YOLO, which was like were people getting YOLO tattoos like 6 or 7 years ago? Am I? Oh,
It
and
is.
that's you only live once. So I understand that you're trying to communicate that this is a bad commit message, but what deep and permeating chaos? Like, yeah, the best worst one I've ever seen to date was just IDK. I don't know. And they had changed a lot. It wasn't like, oh, here are small section commits, which for folks who aren't doing a lot of program right now, those are super nice. Like change one thing at a time. They just changed 60% of everything. And they were like, I don't know. Like, no, oof, oof. Hugh is pretending that he's written worse commit messages. And no, he's just so lovely out there every day, being good and not being terrible.
um, yeah. So what? Sorry. What we've got here is a soon-to-be pull request, like a preview of an upcoming pull request. We can see here on the left-hand side in red what it used to be like, with a particular hideout over what we deleted. And on the right is the paragraph or the chunk that we changed, along with a highlight of um, what we added. So we can see here
Yeah.
those 4 parts that we changed. This one here, sort of a last review as well. It's pretty nice. Git comes
I
reinstalled.
always like it as sort of a staring down the barrel of your commit message where it's just like, hey, you put work in progress YOLO. So I'm laughing because so first this thought. It says, hey, you've put work in progress YOLO, but actually this is what you changed. Do you wanna no do you wanna no? You really but Hugh has once said that they did a big change and the commit message was big,
Oh dear.
which was probably like whoever saw that, like somebody is mad about that and going to be the cool thing about these commit messages is they sort of live forever in a way. I mean, there are ways you can kill them and make them go away and change them, but um, in normal circumstances, they'll hang around for a while. So there could well still be somebody out there today. angry at big right now. How exciting to put that out in the world and have it live out there.
Totally.
But Hughes learned their lesson and will never do that again. I mean, not unless it's very funny.
I've made a couple of those myself. Big change.
And no, no, that's not real. You know, I refuse to believe it.
I mean, we all learn somehow.
I,
And it was a long time ago.
I need to. I never thought I would say this, and I never thought I would say this in the 2020s, but I need to have less trust and faith in people in my heart. Because this part of the stream has been so exciting, I did go ahead and throw the question up on the CodeSee Twitter account and just tweeted from there asking what the worst commit message you've ever seen is. If y'all want to fess up to any of your bad ones, you're welcome to chime in. Otherwise, your beautiful and abiding shame lives only in our hearts forever and in the video and on.
I think I might have some pretty bad commit messages in a private side project or something. Do the thing is the one that's the worst one I've ever written.
No. Do you know we're gonna wrap this up, and after that, like some of y'all have to go to computer jail, like timeout. You've got to go think about what you've done, and yeah, like no, you're not allowed to have any more linters until you've had a think about your life and your problems.
Let's do a good one then. So we've reviewed what the changes are going to be. Now we can go ahead and create the pull request.
Oh.
So
I was going to ask if I can push the button, but that's not even how computers work.
Oh, I gotta work on our streaming setup.
No, are you kidding? I don't want to type. Oof. Have you seen that? Like typing in front of other people?
So what's cool is that it automatically brings in the title and the description from our commit. So we can see here minor wording improvements, and now we can start writing a little bit more. I was thinking of this is just the way I do it. Like it's tricky to get the balance right of writing too much. I just want to say, thank you so much for taking this contribution into consideration. Please stop me if I'm going too far.
I love how you once did like big change, and now you're just like, you know what? I need to atone. I need to think about my life, and now I'm going to put a thank you in here and a picture of a puppy and yeah, how charming.
These are quite minor wording improvement suggestions that we stumbled when reading the instructions out loud.
Yeah.
I think.
And Felix is pointing out that the proper convention, both in not putting big, just to be mean to one of y'all, as your commit message, but also the branch name is, so if you have more than one commit, using the branch name as the title. Yeah. Oh no, that's good. For the comments, I think we're probably still fine. Oh, put a little smiley face in there.
Is that?
No, gosh, no, there's nothing wrong with it. Like you're just absolutely like made of sugar pressed into the shape of a man. How delightful.
I hope so. I hope it's okay.
I mean, you can't walk around in the rain, but how delightful. No, my lovely, I wasn't Felix. I wasn't trying to suggest that you were fussing at us. I was just like, oh yeah. I just wanted to go ahead and cover that in case somebody wasn't looking at the chat that you had pointed this out, and it's a very, very good point.
Thank you very much. So please, they've also given us a checklist that we need to look through. So please follow this checklist and put an X next to each of the boxes like this. It will ensure that our team takes your pull request seriously. So very good. I have read.
I was just like, yes, put X, but we're gonna actually read the checklist.
Let's go ahead. I have read FreeCodeCamp's contribution guidelines. Yes.
We did that on stream too. Yep. 3, 2. So
My pull request has a descriptive title, not a big one like big.
what?
Yes. My pull request targets the main branch of FreeCodeCamp. Yeah. Dunk. I have tested these
So
changes either locally. Yeah.
that's a lie. That so we what we need to do, I think, is like the ability to test these changes is rather limited. Do we just need to look at the preview?
Uh no. How could we do
No?
this? How could we do this well? Oh, you know what? I wonder if we can view the file
Yeah.
in GitHub, and I
I don't think
think
there's much to test,
no, but I think
but yeah, we can eyeball it and make sure like the link works and
yeah,
uh
totally. So we can see here. This is mine. This is
yeah.
my the latest commit. Um, so we can see that this is the correct local setup guide, which it is. Very good. Verify the wording. Verify your Git version. Very good. The next one was run databases like MongoDB and other services like Nginx and more. Very good.
Yeah.
On the WSL side, that's it. That's all four.
I just didn't want to lie.
I agree 100%, especially if we're live. Don't want to lie on stream.
Well, I mean, no more than we already do.
And here's what's
Do it,
cool.
do it, do it, do it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Here's what's cool. Like, it remembers all the stuff we did, which is super handy. I have tested these changes either locally or on my machine. Yes. Closes. Oh, we do not close a pull request, so I will remove this, I think. Feel free to
Just
add.
leave it like we just leave. It's up to
Oh.
you.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the XXXs. It'll XXXX. It'll just ignore those.
Sure. But here's what's interesting. Feel free to add any additional descriptions of changes below this line. So in order to follow the rules as closely as possible, what we should actually be doing is taking all of this, cutting it, and putting it down here. Now, final part. May I, Jess, if you don't have an objection, tag you and thank you for your help with this?
If you like.
Hey, of course.
I am Jesslyn Rose almost everywhere, but to make your life more difficult, I showed up early for GitHub and got Jessica Rose.
Do I not know how to spell Jessica? Oh, this is
I
embarrassing.
mean, look, it's been a whole year. I don't even know if I do.
Do
I not notice?
Let me try this out. GitHub.com/Jessica Rose.
No, there's like nothing on it, and that my shame lives there.
Sorry.
Oh wait, no, I do stuff. It'll just automatically sync. It's fine. It's not going to autocomplete if it's completed.
Is that okay?
Are y'all okay being like loved on there? Autocomplete only show. Nice. You know what? Like Felix is taking over for me next week. It's gonna be fun. Although we are definitely going to hear about it if we have the in a minor wording changes.
Yeah. No. Definitely. So many thanks to Jessica Rose and the CodeSee stream chat for your help. Allow edits by maintainers. Sure. So I guess we can we can hit the big button.
Do it.
Let's do it. Create pull request.
And with this small, discreet, beautiful thing, we now get the most important part of open source contributions, which is waiting and fixing it if we've done something wrong, and girding our hearts against disappointment if we just get like a thanks, no thanks, which I respect.
Absolutely. I think it's super important to bear in mind that these are real folks with real things to do, and they're doing this in their own time and with the resources that allow them to do it. Yeah. Well, we did it.
Everything is fine. I told you. Like, what's the word? I don't even want to ask what's the worst thing that could happen, but what's the worst thing that could have happened? We talked about clone murder, which wasn't a great fit, and I'm not sure why I keep bringing it up. Um, Photocopying so much safer, which is the same thing, but less meaty.
Whoa,
Oh,
I'm very sorry, but ah, binary kitten. Thank you.
oh, oh, hey.
Well, I
So
think
we're just feel us hanging out. Um, yeah. Oh, if any of the rest of you want to be cited
if that's
for
fine with
being
you.
lovely, if you don't mind,
Am I doing this right?
you're good. It's not gonna. We've been told you won't autocomplete unless it's somebody who's already.
Ah, yes, of course.
Oh, I think with this, what there might be left to do is to say thank you, to encourage all of y'all to have the easiest possible mid-morning, late afternoon, or the middle of the night. And we might go ahead and lovingly wander on ourselves. Hugh, do
Abs-
you want us to mention that you're wonderful as well?
if you don't like, if there's any objections, please let me know.
Yeah, we'll be hanging around for a second. Oh, because I think there's a delay between the stream.
I'm so
Hugh, are
happy you
you okay
enjoyed
with us
it.
saying nice things about you?
Sorry.
Platypus, if you want to be involved as well, let us know. But there's no obligation at all. Gosh, that's just like, oh, tell us what your GitHub is. No, no, never. All of y'all have been, oh gosh. I just noticed that the closed captioning thinks that I just said no obligation at Cush. That's just like old. Yep. Um, the technology's not quite 100% yet, but it's how absolutely
Whew.
exciting.
Well, thank you all so much for your help. Thank you all
Oh,
for.
who can we add
Oh,
platypus as well, who's Nix K, which is
oh, gotcha.
and with that, we'll go ahead and add you. But we will lovingly say goodbye. We're going to be right back here next Thursday, and we're going to go. Oh, same Nick. So it is platypus. I was just
Oh,
like, oh, Nick's K is quite a nice
my bad.
one. Next week, we're going to go ahead and pick a slightly more involved issue, one that will make us less happy and less cheerful. And then from there, we'll go ahead and spend some time grumbling at it and wrestling with how do we fix this? How do we implement it? How do we deal with the feedback? Um, Not next week, but in 1 week, 2 weeks, we're going to be joined by some of the really lovely people from a nonprofit called Distributed that does a lot of, yeah, they're like a dumb pipe for getting things to people who need them.
Amazing.
And they have a lot of really interesting open source projects focused around logistics. I'm super excited for that.
Same here.
We'll let you go. We'll chat to you next week. And I hope you have the easiest possible, whatever time it is.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.